3, 2, 1, bro.
What's up, everybody? My name is Mike Murphy. I'm one half of the Brothers Murph, and it's time to take a look at what's on our shelf. This is something we do, and we're going to be doing something kind of similar to this soon, or maybe we just did it. I don't know what order things come out. Anyway, we're going to take a look at some of these games that live on our shelf and talk about why they're there. Why do we like them? Why do we keep them around when we have such limited space? If a game is staying in this room, it means we must dig it at least a little bit. Or else get rid of it because we got so little space and so many games we want. So we're going to be focusing on this section right here today that's got some really classics, things that we've owned for a while, and some special stuff too. So let's start right here. We've talked about these before. These are cribbage boards. Now these are awesome. The thing I like about it is that cribbage boards can come in all shapes and sizes. They'll all have the same amount of pegs and stuff like that. These are really special because these were made by our late grandfather, who was a woodworker in his retirement. Got pretty good at it, just loved working on stuff and tinkering. Did it until his eyes couldn't really support. You see some of his later work, you're like, well, those aren't quite lined up, but you know what? It's fine. And carpentry was a huge hobby of his, so much to the point that he loved it so much that I ended up making my dad interested in carpentry. Now he's made that a career. He's been a carpenter for a long time, and he's about to retire because that's how time works, and that's crazy. So anyway, these are really special because playing cribbage was a big part of our childhood with our grandparents. It was a way for us to bond and get to know each other and spend time when we'd visit for a weekend. And it was a thing that we always enjoyed playing it. We actually didn't fight them on it or anything like that. But as a kid, you're like, well, you want to play this like card game? And I realized it's a social game. It's very light and easy. Cribbage doesn't have a ton of rules and stuff like that. You're just kind of trying to make the best hands you can and play cards out. And so you teach you a little bit of arithmetic, and it's a game that you can talk while you play. So I realized that's why they played it. It's a social activity for them. One that they continued pretty much right up until the end for my grandfather, and then up until the last 5-6 years for my grandma as well. So cribbage keeps the mind sharp, and we have these and treasure these because they are made by our grandpa. So very cool personal cribbage boards for us. Now into more modern board games, because cribbage is just a bit old, a bit dated, that game. We have, again, these games from this shelf. So we have a mix of stuff here. We got this first one right here. It's called Archmage. Archmage or Archmage or whatever the hell, is a cool game where it's kind of an area control game ultimately, and you are trying to get positioned around this board, which starts off very much with a bunch of tiles that are flipped over. You don't know what is out there. You're kind of in the fog, and you can kind of discover areas where you can gain influence over certain types of magic. There's will and matter and nature and time magic and death magic. So you're trying to gain relics in these different areas of magic, and then you can go to town to get followers and stuff, which will go out onto this board, and then you can start to use followers to mix different types of magic to make hybrid spells. So you get a set of base spells, and then you can get these hybrid spells that are more powerful but cost more relics to use. And it's all in the name of kind of like creating and protecting areas of the lands for area control purposes. So it's a really interesting game, one that we don't play super duper often because it is better with multiple players. But they recently came out with the Ascension expansion for Archmage, which gives different modules you can play with. And one of them is a 2-player cooperative experience, which plays against an AI, and it's meant for 2 players only. So that was really cool. We're like, hey, well, now maybe this will get to the table more because we have a kind of an optimized 2-player experience, and it's co-op, which is a fun twist on it. So Archmage is a cool one. Check it out if you haven't before. It's really interesting. We have here Zombicide Black Plague, the last Zombicide in our collection, the only one left. Man, it's heavy. Jeez Louise. Kickstarter exclusive. Simon. Zombicide Black Plague is an awesome implementation of Zombicide. There have been many before. There have been several since. This is a big minis game where you're just running around. You have different scenarios that are provided by a book or online. People have created many, and it's super cool that you can just create your own. We've created them before. And you'll be given a scenario with certain objectives. You basically have to run around, collect these objectives, or do whatever the thing is that you're supposed to do. And in the meantime, no matter what the scenario, you're going to be killing a lot of zombies. That's really the main point. It's a dice chucker. Super duper fun co-op experience. This is like one of the first No, this had to have been the first Kickstarter thing we ever got. We got Zombicide 1 OG. And it's just so fun to get all these minis on a map. You're just fighting hordes of zombies. It feels like you're really in a big zombie just slasher, you know, just like with all the budget, because you just got all the zombie hordes and you're just taking them down, and super fun. And Black Plague is a cool implementation of it. It's very similar to the other ones. Like you can see like, oh, this would be this gun in the original game, but now it's a crossbow of something or other. But this comes with, there's an app that we really kind of kept us in love with it, where it tracks all of your items, your cards, your kills, your abilities. You can roll your dice in there if you want, and it makes it super easy because there's a lot less stuff on the table, because just the boards and the zombies themselves take up a lot of space. So Zombicide Black Plague is super fun. It's our most Amerithrashy game we have, and love it. I absolutely love it. Like once a year or so, we'll still get down on this, and it's always super fun. And we've had some epic games of this in the past. Super cool, even though our tastes have sort of changed away from that style of game. Zombicide will always have a place in our heart. Always down to play Zombicide. But again, our tastes have shifted much more to stuff like this. This is Shakespeare. This is much lighter in terms of weight, heavier in terms of brain power. Shakespeare is a game where you're preparing for a play. You have just 6 days to rehearse, because how it was in Shakespeare's time. They didn't rehearse very long. They just basically got the lines down and went. And so we are dealing with a week of rehearsal leading up to an opening night, or what we hope will be an opening night of our play, but only the Queen will come to the most prestigious play. So we really want to have that audience. Shakespeare wrote for the Queen a lot. The Queen was a big fan. And so we're trying to put on the best possible play to incur the favor of the Queen. So in this, we have lots of things we can do, which is really super cool. We have a stage here that we could potentially build. You don't have to do any or all of these. You can kind of choose what to focus on, and any or all are viable, but you can build up a stage so long as it's symmetrical. Queen wants the same things on both sides. Don't make some weird. This is before people start getting really weird with adaptations of Shakespeare. It's just like Macbeth's gonna be at a truck stop this time. You're like, cool, yeah, that's okay. That's a way. This back in the day is like, make a symmetrical stage, make it look nice, so you can build up a stage. You can and probably should costume your actors. I mean, actors are notoriously just out and proud folk. And don't mind if they're D swinging. But in this one, you got to have them clothed, because it's the old times, okay? You can't do hair here. No, afraid not. So you have to have people costume and stuff. And then up here, you have tracks where we can work on the 3 acts of your play. Do you want to make Act 1 really good to get some extra money because people have paid and they're like, yeah, and they're all ripped up? Do you want to make Act 3 super duper good so that you can get the most prestige possible? And then the middle act, second act's kind of a race. Whoever's the first along will get some prestige and stuff. So there's all these different areas you can work on. It's really cool because they have this fantastic bidding mechanism with your actions. You want to take as many actions as you can do, as absolutely possible, because you have so little time and so many things you need to do. But if you choose the most actions, you're going to go last. And by the time you get to go build your set, there might not be many set pieces left. It's going to be crap. It's going to be awful. So I want to make sure I go first so I can really get those costume pieces, but then I only get to do 2 actions this turn. So you are limiting yourself, and that's something that's fantastic. We've talked about this game a ton. Get the backstage expansion, because now whatever actions you do not use on your turn, you can use in the backstage, and it creates amazing opportunities while still making this a very brutal, tough game where you're just like, I gotta do so many things, I have no time. My actors are naked and they won't get dressed despite me getting them clothes. This is Coal Baron, my friends, the last one for today. This is a worker placement game that's really cool because no space is blocked. You can always go to a space if you pay enough workers. So you get like a pool of like 20 odd workers, a whole ton. You think at first, you're like, there's so many workers, I'm never gonna go through all these people. But if I go to the space for the first time, I gotta pay a worker. If someone wants to come back there, they have to pay 2 workers for the person there, and then my person gets removed. Now, if I want to go back there again because something's really cool, I've got to pay 3 workers. So it starts to build up, and there's not many action spaces, and so everyone's vying for the same, really just few different spaces, and you are ultimately trying to complete contracts. You're trying to go down your mine and build out your mine if you can. with different resources, and then you can put them onto complete contracts here and then ship them out using certain delivery methods, trucks, trains, things like that. And the cool thing is with the scoring, which is down here at the clock, there's sort of a set collection, set majority aspect to it, where if I've shipped the most of the brown cubes, the brown coal or whatever, I'll get this many points. So there's a majority there, and if Nick did the most gold, he'll get that many points. And then in the second round, you'll score all those again. You'll still check for who's done the most, and then you'll also check for, I think, delivery types, who did the most trucks, who did the most trains. And then at the very end, it's like who has the most empty kind of little mine shafts of certain resources. So you can kind of build in a certain direction, and then it becomes like, I've done the most silver thing, so I try to hang on to that. It's not the most valuable like scoring opportunity, but I've gotten it twice, so I try to like get one more cube of that color delivered so I can make sure I hang on to that lead, and it sort of builds on itself. So it just creates an interesting scoring style that I really am intrigued by. I think it's just like, oh, that's weird. They have this kind of set collection stuff. But the fact that it's rescores and like whoever's in the lead may change, which means things that used to be points for you now are not going to be. It's just an interesting game. So Coal Baron is very cool. A fun worker placement game where you get all these workers, but things can become expensive in their own way. And it creates a big challenge because you, once again, only have like 3 rounds and you want to get a lot done, but do you have the money? Do you have the workers to do those things? It's tight. It can be tight. So anyway, those are just a few games on my shelf. What do you have on your shelf back home? Do you have any of these games? Do you like these games? Do you hate these games? Put those all in the comments below. If you ever see any areas of our shelf in the background of any of our videos, you're like, I want you to do what's on that shelf on those games over there, we'll absolutely do that. This is kind of a quick review thing we do of games that we already have and own and love. And so that's rad. And that's why they live on our shelf. Because like we said at the beginning, we have limited space, and if we're going to keep a game, it's got to be decent. I mean, it's got to get played, you know, or else it's gone, just because there's always new stuff coming out that catches our eye. So it's an ever-changing library. Anyway, folks, thank you so much for joining me, and we will see you in the next section of Shelf. And again, put your thoughts and stuff on all these games that you saw in the comments below. Give this video a thumbs up, and we'll see you all real soon. Cheers.